Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today is a very exciting day because I've just joined forces with Megabikes, Ireland's premier motorcycle shop. If you haven't joined my channel, please do so now because hopefully I'll be bringing you hundreds of reviews. As Kieran, who owns the shop, said, I have access to the entire range. Wonderful. Now, he also knows that I've never ridden a Ducati. So when he rang me last week and said, we're good to go with the first review and have a really special bike for your first one, I think I know what he's got up his sleeve. I just hope it's a Panigale. I'd rather ride one of them than the Super Sport. Anyway, I'll act surprised. See you on the road. Well, it's a far cry from a Ducati, but this is the future. It's basically a glorified battery with wheels on. It is, of course, the Vespa Elettrica 70 km/h version. It also comes in a 45 km/h version, but don't bother. That little bit more speed will always get you out of trouble, especially in the city. It's a quite neat selling point, though, calling the two different models after the speed they do. So, my first impression, it's really comfortable. The seat is 790mm tall, which is a perfect height for me at 5'8". The mirrors are surprisingly good, but there's a reason for that. They stick out a bit too far for my liking, so you'll have to keep a constant lookout for cyclists and pedestrians. There's zero engine vibration though, so you don't get buzzy mirrors or a numb bum after being in the saddle for a short commute. I didn't scare those birds, because there's no sound from this. There's not even an annoying bleeping noise for the indicators. Oh, I love that. These buildings here are the Irish government buildings. The people inside there will be very happy with me right now because this is as green as you can get for powered transport. With the 45 km/h version, you can drive it on your car licence here in Ireland, but you'll need the A1 motorcycle licence to become a Hell's Angel on the 70 km/h version. Of course, check the restrictions in your own country. My next observation is that this really is quiet, but then I suppose a battery normally is. You could argue this is a positive safety feature, as you're more in tune with the noises around you, but then counteract that by passengers being unaware of you, I suppose. It has a decent horn though, for the daydreamers. If you don't fancy the silent ride, then you can hook up your phone through this very fancy and extremely bright Bluetooth TFT screen. You can play your music and you can also monitor your texts and calls, although be careful doing that when you're traffic dodging. You'll also need an intercom installed in your helmet to benefit from the full functionality of this really impressive display. Right, time to test the brakes. Yes, they work really well actually. They're not exactly the Brembo 4-pot monoblock calipers that I'd be used to, but everything is relative, and weighing 130 kilograms all up with the battery, there's more than enough stopping power in an emergency. And all controlled with a conventional disc on the front and a drum brake on the back, albeit a much softer response. But one thing I've noticed just riding around doing this review is that it's a much more relaxed style of city riding just using the rear brake. Both brakes are controlled independently by front levers, just like your old push bike, because there is no clutch. Yes, this two-wheeled battery is fully automatic from the get-go and has 3 rider modes. Power, which lets the bike reach its full potential of 70 km/h on this machine, and obviously 45 km/h on the 45 km/h model. And then there's Eco mode, which cuts the power down to 70%. But don't bother, because in keeping with most manufacturer specifications, the figures are always exaggerated anyway. Oh yes, it also has a reverse gear in case your shopping falls off the back and you can just reverse back down the busy road to pick up your shopping rather than having to drive around the one-way system to get it and then find somebody's nicked your butter. Reverse is also accompanied by a very loud reversing beeper, just to let all the pedestrians know that there's a free bag of shopping going in the left-hand lane. I've been out on it for 3 hours, I think, making this review, and I'm 72% still left in the power reserve. So that's bloody impressive, actually. Very good. Now, I know you're all wondering about the range, so with that in mind, I'm now going to ride out of the city a little bit and do a walk around where I can explain all that stuff. I am delighted it's not raining today though, as there's no wind wash at all to throw the rain around you. Mind you, saying that, you can get a host of accessories like this little windscreen. That might do something to keep a bit of rain off you. If not, you could also get this little bag to put your waterproofs in. So you can ham the bike up and make it even more user-friendly. So this is it, the Vespa Elettrica. I think it's a little stunner. Very futuristic, of course, but at the same time it's hanging on to its retro past. So under the seat there's a storage container for when you go watermelon shopping, or if you get caught short you could use it as a commode. It removes so you can tip out your waste. There you go, and there is the battery. 25 kilograms of lithium. And here is my big rant about all electric vehicles, not just this little scooter. Just put the toilet back in there. Must remember to give that a rinse later on. So because we're not quite there yet in terms of small batteries and removable batteries, it means that if you're living in the city with this Vespa Elettrica, you've got to carry it up 3 flights of stairs to your 3rd floor apartment just to charge it, unless you have a plug socket in your parking space down below, or alternatively, by your house. Now, a very clever friend of mine called Laurence happens to be an electrician, and he's worked out for me at today's standard electricity rates here in Ireland how much it costs to charge the bike up from empty. So here is the main selling point for me. Laurence says it costs 93 cents for a full 4-hour charge, which Vespa says will get you a 100-kilometre range in eco mode. On a machine this slow, why would you use eco mode? So let's knock that down to a more realistic 80 kilometres, which is the equivalent to 50 miles in power mode, which isn't powerful, by the way, it's just normal. But that's incredible. You can't even get a train ticket for that price and for that length of journey. Definitely not a cab ride, and probably not even a mule, because it would cost you more to feed the mule hay every day. In fact, I believe it's the cheapest form of power transport there is. Okay, the initial purchase price is a bit steep at $7,995 for the 70 km per hour version, or $7,195 for the 45 km per hour version. But as I echoed earlier, just buy this one. And then when you factor in tax of only €35 here in Ireland, very low insurance because, hey, you're green now, and one small check-up service every year, it's pretty much a one-off purchase, which is a huge attraction if you're a city slicker or just a person looking to embrace the future. Vespa also claim the battery is good for 1,000 cycles, so let's say you charge the bike twice a week on average, then the battery should last you 10 years. And maybe in 10 years you'll be on a Ducati by then, which is probably quicker than I will be anyway. Moving from Ducati red back to Vespa green, you might want to consider these 4 different colour schemes. There's lime green, blue, a sort of azurite colour, and black. But please look up the Italian translation on the Vespa website. Now, who says life is over at 50? I've just found this lady to ride pillion with me for this little test, although she's shouting she wants to get off now. That's a shame. I thought that was the start of something beautiful. But seriously though, it will drain the battery a little bit more, of course, riding pillion. The same as going up a hill really, but the bike certainly didn't feel under any more pressure. So what do I think of this ultimate social distancing machine? I actually love it. It's fun, it's better than spreading the pandemic, and once you've made the initial purchase, it's very cheap to run after that, so if I was a city slicker, it's a no-brainer. I hope you enjoyed my very first ever ride review in association with Megabikes, and once again, please subscribe to my channel as there's going to be a whole heap of bikes I'm reviewing, maybe even a Ducati. But for now, I'm off to infinity and beyond. I'm No, I'm not. I'm Dave Perry for Wheelie Good TV. Over and out.